Well, I remember one particular lesson in which I seemed to know more than my teacher did.
Okay.
Because my teacher argued and continued to believe that that India had only one constitution. And I said, no, India actually has two, because J&K has its own.
Yeah.
Correct.
And the teacher was like, can't be. I said, look, I come from J&K. I'm telling you, we have our own constitution, we have our own flag,
Right.
and these are facts, and you can't dispute them. He said, no, India has one constitution. And so that was a back and forth. So that sort of
Did she
made me
punish you
realize
though
it was a
after that?
he.
Oh, it was a
It
he.
was a he, and that
Yeah.
made me realize that perhaps the teachers don't quite know as much civics as they should do.
No, but this kind of awkward situations have also happened with me but you know, in our education system, it's such a authoritarian thing. Also, all teachers want to be authoritarians somehow. So if you ask them an awkward question, I would be either punished with go out, stand in the sun, or stand outside, or they would slap me around. I mean, that's the other extreme that they went.
Yeah, I'm
to.
not sure if I was made to stand in the dustbin for this, but there must have been consequences that I don't remember, that I've sort of blacked out.
Which is good. I think it's also self-preservation in a way.
Yeah, because there was a lot of sort of punishment and drill and stuff
Yeah.
like that. We were a school that traced its lineage to a very strong military association.
Oh.
So there was a lot of that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Interesting.
In a way, it was like a lab of civics where you had to fight for the right of your own constitution, for the
Yeah,
claim
to
of
defend that
Yeah.
we had a constitution. And
Yeah.
well, now we don't. So
Now you don't,
that's a
yeah.
different
it.
argument
So she was
altogether.
right.
Well, maybe a bit ahead of his time.
Yeah,
He was right,
exactly.
About 3 or 4 decades.
Yeah, she was playing 5D chess with Omar right
Yeah,
there.
yeah, you don't know, but in 2019, this is what is
You
going
will
to
get
happen.
it then.
This
I have
argument that we
seen
just
the
had.
future will not happen in 2019. I can't imagine it ever being. I can't imagine a world where you would be able to sort of create an
Create.
entirely equal
Yeah.
society.
Well, communism tried that.
Well, look what happened to communism.
Yeah. But like, so if you had to say, look at this ideal in a very practical way, like, you know, all of this is theory, I would say, but in a very real sense, how can we move towards that ideal then?
Well, like I said, if you accept that an entirely equal society is not possible, what you need to do is to try and reduce the degrees of inequality.
Right.
I think that is a more attainable objective. If we set out to achieve this utopian objective of equality,
Right.
We will not succeed. Whereas if we set ourselves more attainable goals, like for example, from this book, if Kanta has an easier job getting her kid an appointment with the doctor,
Right.
if she doesn't have to borrow money from her employers so that she can pay the doctor
Yeah.
to have the kid treated, stuff like that.
Yeah.
These are simpler objectives. Like she says, she wants to vote for somebody who will deliver piped water
Yeah.
to where she lives.
Yeah.
These are attainable objectives.
Right.
To think that we can perhaps elevate Kanta to the level where she and Mr. Jain will be equals everywhere is utopian.
Yeah.
Right.
But if we can reduce some of the problems that Kanta has, yes, that's a more attainable objective.
But that is the job that people usually think is the government's job, right? You know,
But they're not wrong. Part of it is the
sure.
government's job.
But so here's my problem with this whole thing. Not a problem, but just like a thought that I had. So Kanta should be helped by, say, universal healthcare, right? So that she's easier access to hospital and can treat her kid. Universal healthcare will be delivered by a government, right? Which is public good, which is being delivered, so that some level of equality is achieved, I would say. But as a person who is not in government, as a person who is not elected or has basically no power in this structure, is there a way for me to push this ideal then? Is there even a way to look at it that way?
I guess, individuals do have a role to play.
Yeah.
Particularly individuals who are in a position to help.
Yeah.
And it doesn't necessarily have to come from government. It comes from non-government organizations, business houses that do well and want to contribute towards social responsibility. It comes from people who are educated, who are in a better position. Let's assume a doctor who is able to take out 2 hours from his or her day to treat patients who otherwise are not economically of sort of that sound fitting. who would otherwise reach this doctor. So there are things individuals can do, but we can't allow government to absolve itself of its responsibility.
Right.
Because the primary framework has to be the government.
Absolutely, absolutely, it has to. And it's really funny. So I have this theory. Omar, indulge me and tell me if I'm wrong. During the UPA 2, everyone said that the government was useless. I mean, the policy paralysis and everything. The rhetoric. You remember the rhetoric that was there. I was a lamp back then. I was like working in parliament and I was very new. So I was very annoyed with the government, right? Because nothing was happening. The parliament was not functioning. Laws were not being passed. There were scams, and Arnab was at everybody's case. So that was happening. Interestingly enough, the GDP was still going up during that time, right? And now, post 2014, when we have this very efficient government, which is like just strong arming and like making decisions after decisions without really thinking about it, the GDP is going down. My theory is that when there is a government that is useless, people don't depend on it. So they work hard to fix problems themselves.
That's one. Yeah, I haven't looked at it that way. But,
how did you look at it?
I haven't looked at it from this point of view.
Yeah.
Maybe you're right. So maybe this current government should be a bit more useless and
Yeah.
the country will do better.
Yeah, I mean, think about it. Like, if I come to you with a problem and you're like, can't do anything. So I'll have to solve my own problem, right? Maybe that was the situation back then where you go to government is like, boss, we don't know what to do.
So the best way for government to deliver is to not deliver.
Is to be useless,
Yeah.
right?
Well,
He approves this. Want to note this.
I think it's ironic.
I don't know whether I would risk
it's-
doing it if I was elected to office, but it's definitely something to keep at the back of one's mind.
That would be a fun campaign though.
Yeah, I know. Well,
Elect
vote for me,
me.
I'm going to do nothing and everything will work.
The
Yes.
most honest politician. Wow, it's incredible.
Because you went on a journey yesterday.
This morning.
This morning,
Yeah.
So he got up at 6, okay? And the idea was
To discuss what to call you, of course.
Oh,
It was a
okay.
group discussion.
Yeah.
No, but the idea was that
Work in progress.
yeah. So we are doing this episode 1 and we wanted to do a vox pop, right? And like dumbasses, we came here, parachuted here, and we were like, you know what? We'll go on the streets and ask the Kashmiris how to citizen, right? And
I'm amazed you didn't get arrested.
like, yeah.
I'm surprised we aren't doing this in Central Jail, Srinagar, where I've come to bail you out or something like that.
Third person who said that to us today. Go on, Shreyas, what happened?
But I'll tell you, to be honest, we didn't ask the people. We were just the thing is that this Vox
You were still discussing,
We were
whether,
discussing.
what should we call them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's always a problem.
Yeah.
So the thing is that this Vox Pop idea started at the Mumbai airport, okay, where we just asked people, oh, how to citizen? They'd be like, be yourself, and be like, okay, whatever. And we had the same idea, but when we came to Kashmir, like it took us some time to realize that we had come to a place where these are very loaded terms, and to
Yeah.
ask that's like a very different question. So even when we were trying to, I mean, we didn't ask this question obviously. Otherwise, we do deserve to go to jail. We didn't. But we were asking people just general conversation, general chatter. What we were hearing with our cameras on was that people actually favored how Kashmir was now. And we were amazed by that. We were like, what is happening? And then the Shikara wala was tired of listening to our discussions also.
Yeah.
The Shikara wala went, ki, you do know that like you have the camera on, right? You are not going to get
An honest answer.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
If the camera is on.
Yeah. Universally today, people are worried about expressing their true feelings.
Yeah.
Because they don't want a knock on their door from the local thana wala.
Yeah.
कि चलिए भाई साहब आ जाइए हमने आपसे बात करनी है.
Yeah.
Which is what happens.
Yeah.
So they will tell you what you want to hear,
Right.
zip it,
Correct.
and get on with their
Correct.
lives.
Correct.
Yeah.
Like someone was like, अगली बार मोदी सरकार, and we were like, ये दल लेक पे कैसे बोल रहे हैं? It's because the
No,
camera
कुछ भी
was on.
कहेंगे.
हाँ.
Once your camera is on, you don't worry. We'll say whatever you want. We just don't want any trouble.
Yeah. No, but it's fascinating because after the camera turned off.
After the camera turned off, the board guy was like, it's
Yeah, because the might of the state is used so disproportionately, and the laws are so sort of in favor of the government or the establishment. And
Right.
then the institution that you look to for justice, the courts, are so slow in delivering it.
Yeah.
That really I mean, I don't blame people. I would advise them, look, just zip it. There's no I mean,
Point getting
no
into
point
trouble.
being brave
Yeah,
and
yeah.
all the rest of it. Live to fight another day.
No, but
It's
that's
fine.
absolutely the feeling that I got while talking to people also, that there's an element of self-preservation there. It was interestingly enough, we went to West Bengal during the elections, last elections. I was covering the elections. There also I found this, that, you know, when the camera is on, of course, everybody belongs to some party. So either they'll be praising the BJP outright or they will be praising the TMC outright. But when the camera was on, yaar, sab chor hai, yaar, kya bolenge? Like, you know, that's the feeling.
Yeah.
It makes me wonder. I mean, I get Kashmir also. Like, I mean, do you think it will ever come to a point in the near future where people would actually tell their true feelings on a camera?
Yeah, I think so. And it's like, I mean, it'll be easier for it to happen in an elected government.
Right.
Whoever that elected government, whichever one it may be.
What would change then?
I don't think you'll find the state as repressive
Okay.
as it is now. See, because today you're answerable to nobody.
Yeah.
This simmering resentment, this simmering anger, it doesn't reach you.
Yeah.
Whereas when you are sort of in an elected position, I mean, ultimately feedback reaches you. Yeah? You
Right.
know what people are saying, you know how they're reacting.
Right.
Which is not to say that, look, you have to sort of suddenly start condoning all sorts of anti-national activities. But there's a big difference between telling the truth about a current government
Yeah.
and being anti-national.
Precisely.
Whereas, I mean, right now, that distinction has been completely sort of eroded.
Because the-
speaking against the government is tantamount to speaking against the country.
Precisely, yeah.
Yeah. And
So there's no nuance left there, basically.
there is no nuance.
There's no nuance.
There's no grey. It's all black and white.
I mean, how do you even talk about nuance when, like, just all the stories, whoever we have been meeting, we have been talking to, we are being told that people are being picked up only because they mention something in a conversation, not even on like a public platform,
Yeah.
social media
Between
platform,
friends.
between friends, and it gets out and they are picked up. being
yeah,
like,
you have to be very careful. I mean, even a one-to-one conversation, you never know where screenshots will reach.
Right, that's true.
You just never know who you're talking to. So
But that,
best is-
By the way, one thing I do want to say, you can listen to this podcast on YouTube, Spotify, Apple, and also Pegasus, which is actually
Yes.
the fastest way to get this podcast.
Yes.
So if you're listening to it there, check us out. The
Yeah.
audio quality is great on that.
yes, we love this government. We love everything.
I do that all the time. I do that all the time with my phone. Yeah, I put my phone there and
Omar is just sitting there and randomly his phone is like, I love you.
Wait, but what do you say when you're talking to your phone?
I just say, look, this government's great. They can do no
It's
wrong.
reaching somewhere.
Yeah. Somebody's gonna listen to it.